Thanks.
Welcome to the Fat2Fit HQ podcast. We are your hosts, Carol and JT of the Firearms Radio Network. In this podcast, we're chronicling our journeys from fat to fit. We talk about pursuing a healthier lifestyle, not only in diet, but in all areas of life. Good morning, JT. Are you there?
I'm here.
I'm so glad.
I had my mic muted so that I could slurp more coffee.
Well, I have my coffee too. How's that black coffee treating you?
Not as good as heavy cream in it, but it's black.
But you went back to heavy cream. What happened?
No, I only did it like as a treat. I did it, well, not really a treat. I did it as kind of almost a meal replacement. I didn't have breakfast, and so one morning when I was on the road, and so I went and got the Starbucks fix.
Did you watch how much?
Yeah, I did. They'll put in half a cup if you're not careful, and half a cup of heavy cream, that's a lot of calories. I know we're not supposed to be doing calories, but man, that's probably a bit much.
Okay. What I'm hearing, are you moving your coffee cup around on your desk?
I am not.
Because I'm hearing something that sounds like a cup moving. What's that?
You know what it sounds like? My headphones. Like the mic's really sensitive. How about now?
Yeah, that sounds good. It's that $high headset mic that you use.
That's right. Hey, $29 at Best Buy.
That's pretty sweet. Don't listen, Jake Challen. We will update our microphone and headphones as soon as possible.
Well, it makes such a fashion statement too.
Yeah, absolutely. I almost didn't do my hair this morning. I thought I'll just wear the big old headset that I'll just pull it back and it just won't matter. But no, well, hey, man, I'm over here also drinking my black coffee, and I agree that we're not supposed to count calories. We're not supposed to be so focused on calories. Is that it?
That's right. That's what I hear.
And yet they seem to have mattered for me my entire life quite a bit. I might be metabolically deranged, is what Kiefer would say. I might have messed myself up so much, but I've just spent over a year trying to figure out how I can not worry about them, right? And just eat, what's it called? IIFYM. If it fits in your macros, you can eat it. If it fits in your macros, right?
Yeah, I watch, I use my FitnessPal to track, and I can't help but pay somewhat attention to the calorie goal, but that I'm really using it to track the macros, more than anything. And then if I'm within range, kind of in the calorie, and even if I go over, it's usually less than, a few hundred calories. And I keep thinking about how many calories are in a pound and all that. I kind of feel like if I'm within range, that ought to be okay. What I'm really trying to do is just keep the carbs low and the sugars low, and I really think that at least for me, that seems to be most important. Although I will tell you that I'm still a little I don't think I know enough about this whole how much protein is enough kind of thing, because I think sometimes we go over the top there thinking that it's safe, and if we've talked about this before, but if in fact excess protein is converted to sugar, then that could be a problem.
Absolutely, and I believe that science. I mean, Kiefer to me is it for science, latest, cutting edge, and everything. So I don't ever doubt, the studies that he quotes are decent, very good studies. I mean, better than decent. He's putting his name out there, and he'll tell you right away if this is a study that's more anecdotal and not really well controlled. And I don't think there's a lot of disputing that once you hit how much protein your body needs, your body does something else with that protein. It doesn't just go through you. It's going to either use it or store it. But now if it converts it to glucose, and there's a word for that, gluconeogenesis or something like that, it it converts the excess protein. So then you're right back to where you started when you had too many carbs, depending. If you're listening to Jonathan Baylor and he's trying to make it more simple, well, protein is obviously a better option than carbs because he says protein, your body has to work really hard to break it down. So you're expending energy just breaking down the protein. That's why you can't look at just calories. Like 100 calories of meat is totally different than 100 calories of potato chips. Or
Right.
just
But
like,
clearly, and that's where I appreciate where Jonathan Baylor's coming from. But calories, I think if you listen even to him, eventually you will hear that calories matter. If you're just starting listening to him, it's kind of like, eat the right kinds of food and forget about calories. But then the longer you listen to him, calories do matter. The source of calories is probably what he is more about. That if the calories are coming from, vegetables first, and then some protein, and then all those kinds of things, then I think, and some fat, healthy fats. But I think there's no doubt that calories matter. But certainly a calorie is not a calorie because the
right.
potato chip example is totally different than spinach, for example.
Right, right. And I've read his book more than once. I love Jonathan's Calorie Myth book, and I really believe, look, that would be a great place to tell people to go through our Amazon link and and get their book. But the book, that Calorie Myth book, he he puts examples in there about why, if it really, the big message to me that I love of what he says, and I feel like if we just live by, we'd be in so much better place, is how much nutrition is in each calorie. How much nutrition is in these 25 calories of broccoli versus these 25 calories of even wheat bread or white bread or pasta or whatever. Obviously, the broccoli is a more nutritionally dense food. So yeah, calorie per calorie, how much nutrition? If you go with the most nutritious stuff first, there's other things at play there. Of course, we always say we're all at a different place metabolically and hormonally, but you fill up on so much of the good stuff, like he says, then you go to the protein next. The good stuff, I mean by the vegetables and really highly nutritionally dense foods, and then your proteins are better, nutritionally dense source of food than your last thing. Even when he talks about your healthy fats that you totally need, if you're trying to lose weight, he tells you to limit those. So if you're naturally going to fill up on things that aren't many calories. So you don't have to count them. It works out. I would think probably you're going to have a bit of a deficit if you're walking, moving, really strength training, building more lean muscle so that you burn more. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, don't just
Right.
count calories, but be smart so your body kind of calculates it for you and does it for you.
Well, the one thing that makes the most sense about Jonathan Baylor's approach that I think is so interesting is that he talks a lot about the fact that all other biological functions don't require intervention by
Right.
us, right? I mean, we don't have to think about, breathing, or we don't have to think about, inhale, exhale, and inhale as much as you exhale, or quantity, and this whole idea that there would actually need to be intervention on behalf of humans to determine how many calories they take in versus they burn. It doesn't make sense, and that's his argument, and it's been kind of messed up because of this whole food quality thing, and
Right.
and all of the edible products that people are consuming that are in, crackers and cookies and all the stuff that's in the center aisles of the grocery stores, and yeah, that makes total sense to me. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know, I don't know how anybody can argue that, and so the idea that you could eat as much as you want within reason of real food totally makes sense to me. But that doesn't mean that it can all be protein or all
Right.
be,
Right.
And then if you believe, I mean, I know we bounce back and forth from the paleo thing, but if you believe the whole concept of how our bodies, operated as hunter-gatherers,
Hmm.
it also makes total sense that the most available food would have probably been vegetables, with the occasional protein as they hunted and killed and ate meat, and then fruit would be seasonal because it wasn't available all the time, and so you couldn't just go to the store and buy fruit 24/7. It was only available in the spring, and the fall, whenever harvest time was or whatever, and you probably were fighting bears for it, so you couldn't eat that much because and then you'd be running from the predators that also were trying to eat the fruit, and so the idea that you could just have fruit every day, all day, um, I don't think that's normal either, and that's so the whole idea of limiting fruit, eating a lot of vegetables, and protein in moderation makes total sense to me.
It does to me too. I get that whole thing that you were saying about not you shouldn't need the intervention, because our other functions don't need the intervention. But I do, like you said, I feel like it's the where we live in now. You know what I love that he says is that we really didn't even know what a calorie was about 200 years ago. I think they started talking about how it was a unit of measure that raises your body temperature enough to. That was all early 1800s to mid 1800s. So how long have human beings been around? And I would argue as soon as we figured out what it was, and a little bit later, that's when we start getting in trouble. It happened to be around the same time that everything starts going awry with farming and all of that. So yeah, when we didn't calculate it and we didn't even know how to calculate it, it seemed like people were doing better. But I don't think it's the calculating it that's screwing us up, obviously. I feel like there are certain body functions that I might need intervention if I was totally screwed up with my heart or my breathing or whatever. And a lot of us are at a point where our environment and what we've chosen and how we grew up and how we ate requires some intervention. And my example is that I don't, you and I are very different in that you talk about that high fat and how you feel satiated and you can have a packet of almond butter and you're good for a while. I don't have that. I've experimented, at least right now I don't. For the last year I haven't. I've experimented with just eating high fat, and the people who are real high fat advocates, moderate protein, very low carb, ultra low carb, would tell you you're going to feel so satiated that you're going to naturally undereat or not, or eat to satiety. Eat to satiety is way too much for me to sustain. I mean not to sustain, to maintain my body weight. I just don't, a little bit of something high fat and over here a big old salad, the salad works better for me in terms of feeling full. It just doesn't make me feel full. And so I don't know if that's because I'm screwed up or metabolically because of what, or my hunger. I don't know, but
I think quantity. I think there's something that is missing in all this, and that is that quantity and the feeling of being full and the feeling of having. If they could give you a pill that gave you all the nutritional macros that you needed,
yes.
you still wouldn't feel satisfied because it's just not enough quantity. I think there's something to be said, whether it be psychological or whether it's physical in your stomach or whatever it is, because if they ever figured out how to give you a meal and a pill, I guarantee you it would not be enough for me, because I want that whole, first of all, there's the experience of eating.
Yeah.
There's the physical quantity of the food, regardless of the macros, and that's why I think there is something to be said for that big salad versus the pack of almond. It takes, by the way, that whole almond butter thing. I bought some of those just in packets for when I'm on the road, because fat is the hardest thing to find in an airport or someplace like that, and it's not like it's immediate. It's not like I get done with the packet and I'm like, wow, that was filling. But if I give it time, if I give it 10, 15 minutes after I eat, wow, I'm not hungry anymore. It's just one of those kinds of things. It's not the same as
Eating a meal.
eating as much pizza as you possibly and stuff in your face, and then you're exhausted, but it is satisfying, and it certainly doesn't create that craving for more. In other words, when I'm done, I'm done. For 10 minutes later, if I can just kind of weather the storm, I'm like, okay, that's good enough. You just can't be, the you have to have some willingness to have a little bit of delayed gratification that I know that in 10 minutes I'll be okay.
I'm not going to be starving anymore. The goal isn't to be stuffed. The goal is to get through until you have a decent meal. If that's what you're... Yeah, I think that all goes back to listening to your body. Isn't that the most important thing that I could learn? Now I know this Whole30 way of eating that we're doing and everything. This is why I wanted to bring this up, because it's very interesting to me that I'm on day, what's today, the 18th, I'm on day 17, and I'm not crazy hungry like I always have been. The high fat didn't do that for me. And somehow, I'll put the link to Whole30.com. I have to say I'm not doing Whole30 because I weighed myself for this other challenge. So I'm going to say I'm eating the way people who do Whole30 eat because they make a big deal about it. Melissa Hartwig goes on a rant. If you Google, can I weigh myself, or why can't I weigh myself? And she goes on a big rant about, look, this smacks of a 6-year-old whining that they just want pieces of this. No, stick to something. Start over on day one. You're supposed to be, changing your mindset, and it permeates through every area of your life when you fail yourself like this. She goes on and on and on, and she could be right, but I never set out to do the Whole30 to break my relationship with the scale. I needed some support for changing the way I eat. And if I ever do it again, maybe I'll do the scale thing. I'm just going to have to take that hit and say I'm not really doing Whole30. I'm just eating the way that people who do Whole30 eat. So I'm doing the whole food part of it. And the crazy thing, back to why I brought it up, is that it really is changing my relationship with food in terms of I'm not hungry between meals. And so here's my thing, Jack. If I have my diary open on my Fitness Pal, anybody can go look at it. So if I was just listening to my body and eating the way Jonathan Baylor tells you to eat, which is exactly what I'm doing, I'm loading my plate with vegetables, and then I have some protein source, moderate to small protein source. I have a little fat, healthy fat, and that's it, that's a meal. So my lunch is this big salad, but it's a rainbow of colors. I have sweet peppers, I have tomatoes, I have a bunch, it's chock full of dark leafy greens, and I do put 3 egg whites in there and a whole egg, and I don't do dressing. And I have a cup of soup that has chicken and vegetables and everything. I'm usually just not hungry for it right at that minute, so I'll have it a couple hours later. So I'm having more vegetables with chicken stock that I made and chicken in that. I bring seaweed, fried seaweed that's fried in olive oil, some of that for a snack. And at dinner, I have steamed vegetables. No, I have grilled vegetables with clarified butter. And so there's a healthy fat there. I have more protein at night. And I have even a side of steamed vegetables with the grilled vegetables if I'm hungry. I have more soup. And then a little bit later, kind of for dessert, I've been doing low fructose fruit. Anybody who would look at that day, and if I'm listening to my body, I don't see why I should force myself to eat more. That seems, it's so nutritionally dense. I mean, but you would be amazed at how many people are commenting that I'm not getting enough calories on my Fitness Pal. I mean, it's not.
Because you're like at 800 calories, right?
800. That's an 800 calorie day. Because
Yeah.
I'm not into dressing. I don't really like the dressing. I made a dressing. TJ told me about it. If I wanted to force the fat or force more calories, I would drizzle some of that dressing on there. But I enjoy the salad without it. I used to have bacon and avocado. That's what people are telling me. Just put some bacon and avocado on that. I'm getting moderate protein. I'm having several eggs. I'm having some healthy fat during the day, and I'm having a ton of vegetables. I'm really filling up on vegetables. I am not hungry. Why? If people are going to argue that your body's going to adjust to 800 to 900 calories a day, day before yesterday, I made myself eat breakfast because I'm not a breakfast person. I wanted to have a high calorie day, but still very nutritionally dense. So I made myself eat breakfast just like I thought. It triggered hunger. I ate throughout the day, and I finished the day around 1,800 calories. Okay, so that's more than twice the amount of calories. If I did that once a week, isn't that kind of a Tim Ferriss carb night, if you would call it? Because Whole30 lets you have a potato, so I had to have potato at night on one of these nights that I make sure I boost my calories once a week so my body doesn't adjust.
I don't know. It sounds reasonable to me, but 800 calories doesn't sound reasonable. I would have been one of those people that would have said,
Whoa.
oh, that's not enough calories. On the other hand, if you're satisfied, maybe it is. Who knows?
I don't have a lack of energy. It's the opposite. I feel so good during the day. I'm not sleepy after lunch anymore. I'm not suggesting people go and hack themselves down to 800 calories. That would be very unwise and unhealthy for, I think, many people. I'm just saying if I didn't look at MyFitnessPal, if I didn't track it, because I'm listening to the world that says just listen to your body and eat, like Jonathan Baylor says, eat a ton of nutrient-dense food. You don't have to have a ton of protein. Many societies out there don't. They just use protein for flavoring. And make sure you have some healthy fat in that meal, and then stop eating when you're not hungry anymore. That's what I'm doing. And so to force extra calories, I have trouble doing that because never, ever, ever do I get this liberty of, it's never about, oh my gosh, should I eat a little more? I never feel like that.
So where are your macros typically? I haven't looked at yours. So where are your macros?
The carbs are very high because of the amount of vegetables. So I'd have to look real quick and see, but it's probably about 40 to 50% of my calories are coming. Now, MyFitnessPal doesn't look at net carbs.
And you and I exchanged some texts this week, and I'm not even sure I know what that is. I need to do some homework on that, but I know that it has something to do with the fiber, and it's the, but I'm looking at my week, by the way. You're going to die when you hear this. So I've loved getting back into MyFitnessPal, which I had kind of abandoned, in the midst of the chaos that was the holidays, and I've always been a bigger fan of the macros than the daily calorie. Then that's really what I use it for. But so the week of January 10th through 16th, my macros were 58% fat, 19% carbs, and 23% protein.
Wow. Say that again.
58% fat.
Yeah.
23% protein and 19% carbohydrates.
Yeah.
So to me, that's pretty high. But see, what's high fat? I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, we've been so fat phobic as a society. What we call high fat. Maybe this isn't high fat if you're Jimmy Moore. I mean, he's eating sticks of butter, for God's sake. I mean,
No, if I just put some bacon on that salad and a slice of avocado, it's a high fat salad then, because most of the calories are coming from, not most, but many of the calories are coming from fat, even though it's a ton of vegetables. High fat, what is high fat? I guess depending if you're trying to get ketogenic or get into ketosis or just keep your insulin levels low. Your 58% doesn't sound like Jimmy Moore high, or what Kiefer or maybe Jeff Fry would recommend. I know it's not, because we would try to keep our, fat 80%, and very, very low.
So my carbs for the week, now this is in grams, and this is for that whole week period, so this is, 7 days. So my total carbs were 567 grams for 7 days.
Wow. So
I'm probably, the protein may be knocking me out, I may be in keto. I wouldn't know. I don't have a meter or any of those kinds of things, but and sugars were 200 grams for the whole week. So Benny would be proud.
Just tell me yesterday. I'm having trouble dividing that all by 7 over the week. So tell me what typical day yesterday.
Okay, so yesterday was high, actually, but here's what's funny, is I had 152 grams of carbs yesterday, which
That's
Most
high
people,
carb.
right? But here's what's crazy is when I look at where that came from, all vegetables.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The net thing is that all those vegetables had some fiber, some natural fiber. Some people will tell you you can subtract the fiber out of that and look at that, the carbs that are left. And it's not 100% fiber, like, it's probably a fourth
Well,
or something like that.
Vinny Tortorich will say, "Don't be carb phobic," and I look at that and I go, "Man, 152. I'm supposed to be, 50 or 60 grams of
30,
carbs, or
yeah.
less, or 30, or well, Jimmy Moore would be, whatever." And I look at that and I go, "That all literally, I can tell you that all came from kale and
Yeah.
spinach because."
Yeah.
Because that's what we can, and I can go back and look exactly where it came from. And two-thirds, maybe 75% of that 152 came from the 6 cups of kale that I had yesterday and 2 cups of spinach, and I also
Right.
had
You put them in those smoothies and
mhm,
so it's packed, chock full. And that's one of Jonathan's first, wake up with a smoothie, get 10 servings right in that smoothie of your vegetables.
right.
And I don't know. I don't know how much of it is psychosomatic, but I feel awesome. I really feel awesome. I'm waiting to get a dip in energy. Now, it might be because I'm having these quote refeeds. I've been doing this for 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, and every 6 days or so, I've done something different. I don't care. I'm not going to just listen to my body. I am looking at my Fitness Pal, and I'm like, okay, today I'm going to, if nothing else, I don't want to plateau. If I don't want my body to adjust to any one thing. So today I'm going to do something totally different. Whole30 allows white potatoes. So last week I had my first white potato in like a year, and I had it at night because I do listen to Kiefer and them. But and again, I tried to get close to 2,000 calories just to get a spike um, of calories. So my body didn't think it's starving, and maybe it's just interesting to me. I appreciate everybody's concern about, ooh, that looks very low. But really, I don't think I'm supposed to even be looking at my calories. Like if I was really doing Whole30, I shouldn't even be paying attention to that. I should
Right.
be eating these foods and a ton of these greens and some healthy, well-sourced protein,
And
moderate.
so what's happened on the scale since you're using the scale eating this way? So
Oh,
what is
I've lost almost 8 pounds
well, there you go.
2 or 3 days ago. And I know some of that is water. And remember, I gained 3 pounds the 48 hours before the thing started. Because
Right.
I weighed myself on Wednesday. I was like, oh, dang, this is where we're starting the weight loss challenge. And I sent it, and she goes, oh, no, I need that on Friday. It needs to be the day we start. I was like, oh, that's right. So then when I weighed in on Friday, I was 3 pounds heavier. But when you're about to start an 8-week challenge or Whole30 or anything, I was like, what do I want? What do I want that I can't have for the next couple of weeks? And I did. I kind of binged on, okay, I want some bread, I want some pasta, I want some, Halloween candy, whatever. I just went around going, what can I not, very salty, just stupid, but people do that sometimes before you're going to get restrictive with yourself. You're like, this is the last time I'm going to have this in a while. And so I know that 3 pounds, I know where that was. Some of it was that I just a lot of heavy foods in my stomach still, and the salt and the inflammation, processed food. I'm sure I got all inflamed. So 7 pounds is not truly 7 pounds, but some water in there. But I don't know.
So
I'm
you're doing you're doing absolutely no dairy, right?
No dairy. They let you have butter, but it's clarified butter. You are warming it on the stove and putting it through a process where you're taking out the milk proteins. It basically separates and you skim off and strain so you have no milk proteins. So that's super cool to have vegetables in the evening sauteed in butter. Um, yeah,
Now,
that's
now
my
do
dinner.
you just make a bunch of it and then can you make clarified butter in advance and then
Yeah,
store it or
absolutely. Absolutely. I even found an even easier way. You warm it, you put it in a Ziploc bag and hang it from a cabinet somehow, like with a coat hanger they showed, and you'll see after 10 minutes the 3 layers. So you poke a little hole and let that bottom layer, which you would use a strainer for, As soon as you get to that middle part, which is the butter, the clarified butter, you switch the container and you just drain it directly into that. I'll put a link
What's
to,
the bottom? What's the bottom part?
I don't know, some other type of milk protein or something that you don't want. You just want, I mean, chefs do this because it has a much higher smoke point and you can cook better with it, but
Right.
it tastes just like butter to me. It tastes pretty awesome. And it's a ton of fat in there, and it makes the veggies taste awesome.
So how
So
much are you putting in like a serving? Are you is a tablespoon, two
yeah,
tablespoons?
I always
What's
count at least a tablespoon. And some of my vegetables are I'm not gonna lie, I'm not going out of my way to up the calories. If I prefer steamed broccoli, so I'll steam some broccoli and cauliflower, but in the pan I'll do what's it called? Zucchini spirals, like you make zucchini pasta with a little thing called a veggetti, and you just you just a lot of grilled vegetables, mushrooms, onions, and then I put it all together.
right?
And so I usually count 1 to 2 tablespoons of that butter because I cooked it in that. Or if I steam it, I might pour it over it. But I might have fish, like Kevin was saying. If I have fish, geez, my dinner is like nothing. It's in terms of calories, I'm sure, but it's super filling because
So
again, I have.
I
Uh-huh.
noticed on your Facebook, and you will do this occasionally. You'll post these fresh seafood, because you're in Galveston or you're down there by the water. So tell me
Right.
about that. Like what do you buy? Are you buying shrimp? What are you buying from them? And are you buying it right off the boat?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
what are you buying from them? Shrimp?
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the advantages. If you're on YouTube, you can see behind me. This is the bay. This is Galveston Bay right behind me. And we live up in Houston, but we come down here quite often. And when there's a ton of places that you can buy quote fresh seafood. But if you go down to the Strand of the historic district where all the visitor touristy stuff is, there's a couple of high-end restaurants down there right on the water, and right next to them are a couple of fish markets where the boats pull right in. You can see them getting the shrimp off the boat and dumping it onto the ice. And so I'm just a shrimp person. They have everything there. They have whatever kind of fish they just pulled out of the bay or the Gulf, and there's shrimp. It's just amazing. It's just amazing, and it's not cheap. It's that flat ab tax that people talk about. You pay a little better, pay a little more. It's going to taste a little better, and it's just going to cost you a little more if you want to go out and get something. So that's what I did yesterday. I got a couple of pounds of the shrimp that they had just pulled off the boat, and that's what I had here last night. I grilled. I sautéed vegetables, and I brought some of the soup with me. I make a huge pot of vegetable soup with cauliflower, mushrooms, onions, everything. I use the chicken stock that the Whole30 approves. It just has a couple of ingredients. I throw some chicken in there, and so I always have some of that if I'm hungry. But I brought a bunch of vegetables with me and just had peel and eat shrimp. I just boiled it and let it get cold. And then after 15 pieces of big shrimp, you're like, oh my God, that's a lot of food. Plus these vegetables, plus I'm going to have some fruit
Well,
after.
the seafood, and we plug all these people, but the seafood, if you remember, that was a big part of Jonathan Baylor's thing was to eat more seafood. And I would tell you that if you start looking at the calorie count in seafood versus the amount of food that you get to consume, and it's a bargain if you're looking for quantity. I mean, because
I know.
we used to never do scallops at home. Just because we never really thought about it. We might get it at a restaurant or something like that. And then if you look up the calorie content of scallops relative to their flavor and just how good they are and all that, that is a bargain. You can get a lot of scallop. Now they're expensive too, especially if you get the right the ones that aren't chemically treated and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. It takes a while to try to track those down. You have to find the right spot and all that, but still, shrimp and scallops and just fish in general are bargains for the amount of food that you typically get relative to the calories.
I
And
know.
it's
I
funny how you
know.
think that way. It's like, how much can I eat with the lowest
I
lowest
know, I know.
quantity
See,
of
I'm not supposed to be hacking right now. I'm just supposed to be eating well, quality food and and listening to my body. And so it is a bit of a hack to go, oh my gosh, this doesn't seem like enough calories. I better put in a day where I'm eating more at least. But the one that I go to that I really like, if anybody's in Galveston, it's called Katie's Seafood Market. I mean, it's a little shack next to the nice restaurants down on the Strand where the cruise ships come in and leave, that area. It's right by the oil rig museum. But it's very cool because all the pelicans and everything are right behind there waiting to get the leftovers and stuff. It's very cool. And Jonathan gave a great tip one time. If you go to Sam's or Costco, you can find wild-caught salmon there very inexpensively compared to anywhere
Wow.
else. And that
I know at
wild
the
caught,
grocery store, wild caught is expensive.
yeah,
Wow.
look at your big box stores because he was right, and it was delicious. It's frozen, but it is wild caught, and the omega 3s that are supposed to be so important. That's what you want. That's not one of your real low calorie fish, but it's not about that. It's about the nutrition for him, and those omega 3s are really important. But we have gotten that salmon before, and gosh, that's the easiest thing in the world to put it in the oven and bake it for a little bit with some seasoning, and it's done.
I'll tell you what, you were talking about the broth, and I started doing this. Well, I've done it for a long time, but I do a lot of the cooking around the house when I'm around, and one of my favorite things is to make stock after the holidays. I almost
Nice.
prefer the making of the stock to the actual turkey, itself, but because you can just throw in all kinds of vegetables and stuff and boil,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
basically if you do it long enough, it essentially turns into more of a bone broth than a stock, than a stock, and then it's
Nice.
so then I didn't know what to do with it, and so I started doing some searches on the web, and I think I posted this on the Weight Loss Challenge website. No, I put it on the Fat2Fit Facebook page. Was this coconut turkey bone broth soup, and it was phenomenal. It was it literally, you start off with the bone broth, and then you add the coconut milk, the kind that comes, the unsweetened that comes in the can. That's the fat. That's the real thick stuff. And then it's some ginger, some scallions, some red pepper, and I mean
Oh.
it is. So if you look at it, it's on the Fat2Fit Facebook page, but it's this. I got it off of a website called ButterBeliever.com, and it was it's kind of a something to do with the stock, or with the bone broth.
But with
Because
coconut water or
no,
coconut
coconut
milk?
milk. It's like the
Coconut
coconut milk that
milk.
comes in the can. That
Uh,
Thai brand. It's typically Thai brand is what I use. It's a TIA,
uh-huh, uh-huh.
THAI, and a can of that, and the recipes there, and I'll find it, and you can paste it in the show
Yeah.
notes, or I
I'll
will. But
put
it's
it
it's
in the
really
show.
really a good use of the like, what do you do with after you've made, after you boiled the carcass for 24 hours? What are you going
Yeah.
to do with that? And it's really very very flavorful, and of course if you add that coconut milk, it's
Creamy.
the fat goes up, and it's like adding heavy cream or something, but
Yeah.
it's
It's
um
yeah.
so
In the My Fitness Pal community, and TJ Gaucher, we said last time, is so good about posting pictures of what he eats. And there's a thread in there. We'll post it in there too, with healthy recipes and things that people really liked. And I am not a person that will spend time in the kitchen. This is why it really appeals to me to make a big soup for all week long for whenever I'm hungry. And then the salad is also an easy thing to chop things ahead of time and throw together your salad before work. But some of the things that people have posted in there, I am so glad that I went out of my way to try. And so we have to post it in there too, because some things, like Caroline posted, and I need to put it in there, but she just shot me a recipe for these meatloaf things, because we were trying to find Whole 30 things that you could make, and you make tiny little meatloafs in muffin pans, and you can freeze them or you can put them in your fridge, and you can grab a couple of those, to go on top of this zucchini pasta that you're making, or spaghetti squash or something like that, and some approved marinara. And yeah, I mean, there's some amazing tweaks that you can do to get more natural and nutrient dense in some of your old favorites. And so this if I wanted to up my fat, that's That's an easy way to change that chicken soup that I'm having is the coconut milk. I hadn't even thought about experimenting with that.
So do you miss the dairy?
I miss the dairy for my coffee. I miss I don't miss it throughout the day because I just never was using it for much else. And now that I can use clarified butter, I don't miss it. But the coffee was a treat when I woke up. It was such a sweet, creamy, sensational drink that I miss it. But I don't. I'm not. I'm not dying for it like that first week. We did that show last week where, God, just get past the first week and things start to feel pretty damn good. You start feeling, okay. I'm okay without it. But yeah, man, I would love to have a nice, I miss butter pecan ice cream from Baskin Robbins and too. But not like it doesn't have control of me right now at all. And I can't tell you how good that feels. I can't tell you how awesome it
So have you
feels.
tested your blood sugar? You were going to do that. We
Yeah,
had
no, I'm
texted.
going to do that this week. That takes us back to counting calories versus high fat versus, low fat. And why be high fat? And if we listen to some people who have a lot of good science out right now, my understanding, I would definitely encourage you guys to go check out bodyio.com. Don't listen to me. But my understanding is that fat is important for a number of things, your brain health and how you even process the nutrients that you take in, how you absorb them. You need the fat for that. But if we're talking about weight loss, fat is important for one thing, the environment in your body when you take in food. If your hormones are such that your body's either going to store or mobilize fat throughout the day, right? You're either going to store what you take in, or you're going to or going to use what you take in, or use what you have stored. And fat doesn't raise or lower your blood sugar. So your hormones, if you have enough fat and protein in your meal, your blood sugar is not going to go up. That's what I understand, is that the environment is hospitable for fat burning when you have enough fat or when your blood sugar is stable. So that's a little different for each person. But we know we want to have enough fat. If we're not having enough fat, the carbs I take in might raise my blood sugar, and then I'm going to start to store fat. Do you understand it to be like that, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I understand it. But what I always struggle with, and I actually just kind of hopped over and Googled something real quick because terms like high and low,
Yeah, what does that
uh,
mean?
what does it mean? What does it mean? And especially in a world in which low fat has been, uh, so so emphasized over the past 20 years or so. So what does that mean? Low? I don't even know anymore. So I can't remember what I was listening to this week, but someone was talking about. I know I was listening to Ben Greenfield, and he had a guest on that was a food historian from Israel, and they were talking about how that when back in the day, so to speak, when people would hunt and kill animals, that they actually were the choice cut, the places that they were killing it for the fat and for organ meat, fat organ meat, and then over time they started eating the protein, which is the more lean meat. But the most prized was the kind of the fattier
Yeah.
cuts. Well, we don't even, that's scrap now for most people, and you're looking for lean meats and all. So I guess my question is that when you go online and you kind of Google, high fat, first of all, you see all of the stuff that's still out there about how bad it is for you, so then you can't get past that. But, I wonder what high fat, even means. Like, is it measured in is it measured by macros? Is it measured by, uh, quantity? I don't even know. All I know is that I eat higher fat than I used to. I don't avoid it. I certainly avoid the bad kinds of fat, but I'm eating more fat purposefully, grass-fed butter like Kerrygold, with vegetables, things like
Yeah.
that. A lot of avocado. Yesterday I got hungry. It's crazy. This is gonna sound, but yesterday I was hungry. I was at the grocery store and I went by the Olive Bar and I put 10 olives, in one of those plastic containers, and when I got to my car with all my bags of groceries, I popped the lid off of it and I just started eating olives. And then and of course that's healthy fat.
Uh-huh.
And 10 olives is hardly enough food to matter, you wouldn't think. But, by the time I got home, I was like, oh, I don't feel hungry anymore, and
See,
so then,
that's another reason to eat the more fat. And you hear that all the time too, is that you're gonna feel it's gonna sit heavier in your stomach. You're gonna be more satiated. And if you're gonna be more satiated with that, why eat 100 or 2 bags of potato chips that don't satiate you, that make you want more potato chips? Eat something healthy, dense, nutritionally dense, with which olives are. And I'm not like this, but if you are the type of person, and many people are, that something with some fat in it, you're good. If you really listen to yourself, you're not really going for stuffed, you're going for satisfied. I'm sure I could get to that point with a little more, I don't know, maybe, maybe not. But that's another reason to eat the fat. So this all came up because you asked if I was going to test my blood sugar.
right.
And so if one of the reasons, like somebody would say, oh my gosh, she's not eating enough fat in her day, this is going to backfire on her. Well, some people would say that's because I don't have enough fat, because my blood sugar might be a little higher. It might not be an optimal environment for me to burn fat. And I'm sure there's a lot happening at the cellular level and stuff like that. But if I just want to make sure, plus the fact that I'm pre-diabetic, a high-fat diet is really, it seems wise to me, because I want to control my blood sugar. So I'm not diabetic yet, so I don't check it all the time. But this week, I'm going to stick with how I've been eating and just listen to my body. But I'm also going to check my blood sugar periodically throughout the day and after these meals. And if it's not going up and shooting up, why do I need to add that fat? It's not for the satiety, because that's not helping me. I'm having some fat. I'm having egg yolks. I'm having butter, and
You're
uh,
probably fine. So let me ask you, is there a difference in the kinds of vegetables? In other words, you're eating a ton of vegetables. So is there a difference in your mind between, say, uh, zucchini and squash? I forget potato. I mean, we all know potatoes and tubers are a
yeah,
different
yeah, yeah.
different thing. So let's set that aside for a minute and talk about, you know, spinach, broccoli, cauliflower versus squash.
Spaghetti,
Uh,
squash. I think so, because I've been tainted, because I have looked at them in my Fitness Pal, and I know some vegetables are carbier than others. So I'm like, oh, I need to stick with the leafy greens. That's what everybody says, leafy greens. Well, that's just not doing it for me. That I understand, and I've had, I've talked to Jeff Fry about this. If you really want to make some serious progress, stay away from some of those carbier vegetables. If you're going to really, really hack and try to go high fat, and just your vegetable is just a vehicle for the fat, your leafy greens are your best bet, because they're not going to add any extra carbs to your day. But again, I'm not trying to hack right now. I'm trying to eat like people who do Whole30. And I even went to Taco Cabana. I know you guys have Taco Cabana, but that's basically drive-through Mexican food. Well, at work, we had a lunch. I had to go to Taco Cabana. I'm looking at this Mexican menu of what I can have. And so I had a salad, taco salad, but I mean, I couldn't have the shell, the fried corn shell or any of that, but I just had a big salad. So it was mostly iceberg lettuce, unfortunately, but it was basically the greens and tomatoes. I went ahead and asked them to put some, because I wasn't having my egg, I asked them to put some avocado on that. And I had chicken fajita that they had grilled and put on it. I don't know, maybe it was maybe they used some oil that's not approved, but I was looking for grilled chicken on it. And so I wanted some fat in that meal. I made sure that I had, the avocado, but that was a very low calorie meal. I mean, that was, now I'm wondering if I did have the avocado. Anyway, I went to 2 Mexican restaurants this week, and one time I had them put avocado, and another time I just didn't miss it. I just didn't want it anyway. I'm just trying to listen to myself. You can eat anywhere, but if you do, you end up being, or at least I end up being, lower calorie. if I go and look at what was that meal? It was a ton of greens. Again, they're not going to give you a ton of chicken. I think it was a half pound of fajitas, which sounds like a lot, but that's 8 ounces of. Oh, that's what I ordered. I ordered the half pound of fajitas and asked for extra greens. So it was basically grilled onions, and I know they use some oil with that, and that's 8 ounces of chicken breast, and it just was not a ton of calories, but it was a ton of food.
Right. I think the key. I think there's no doubt that at some point in time, you have to create a deficit if you're going to lose weight, and where that deficit comes from. You can't just eat all. If you're high fat, I don't think that means you can just eat fat. 5,000 calories worth of fat. I mean, I still think that the difference is that if you're eating more fat, that it should be less painful to create the deficit.
And you're creating an optimal environment for burning off what you're eating and what you have stored. I do believe that. I do believe the fat helps you keep hormones. It's about hormones. I want to be like the 20-year-old Carol that used to have just the higher metabolism, and the hormones I have now. You need to be eating the kind of food that keeps your environment. From what I understand, I heard Kiefer saying the other day that there's some real good studies out right now where women, what makes the most difference is their strength training and the amount of lean muscle that they have. 2,000 calories is no problem if you have enough lean muscle. It's not about the cardio. You can go out and do cardio and your body will probably adjust to that. It's how much lean muscle you're carrying and keeping on your body that's going to allow you. Same thing, that's hormonally you're different. Jonathan Baylor says you got to start strength training. You got to build lean muscle because what does your body need in the day depends how much muscle you're carrying and what kind of food you're putting into it. And so I'm strength training. I'm training twice a week, and I'm back in the gym, and I'm going heavier, as heavy as I can without being unwise. And I am walking every single day. I'm getting 45 minutes of exercise, at least walking, at least 6 days a week. So I'm not doing that for the calorie burn.
You got your new Fitbit, so you're.
Which I left back in Houston. Doesn't that kill you? I left it back in Houston. I'm thinking about going in and estimating how many steps, and that's just cheating. So I'm gonna look.
Well, that's why I don't understand. I guess for you it's probably a fashion statement, but that's why I like the Flex because once I put it on my wrist,
it's there.
It's there. I don't have to say, well, where's my Fitbit? Did I clip it on? Did it go through the washer? All the things that I've heard these nightmares.
It is a nightmare.
Why people don't wear the wristband, I have no idea. It seems
I'll tell you because I loved my Flex. I loved my wristband. I never lost it. I just kept it on all the time. But Caroline and I did the exact same walk at 5:30 in the morning. We start both with like 100 steps. We go 2 miles to Starbucks. We sit down and have our coffee, and we come 2 miles back. And her distance, because she has the one, her distance was always different than mine. Hers was way more accurate compared to what we GPSed it out to. And I was always like almost a half mile, something crazy less than her.
Yeah, but it's relative, right? If it's off
Not
by the
distance.
same. Well, no, my point is
if it's always off by that.
It's always
much.
off, and all you're doing, and all it does in that case, all it does is drive you to do more to catch up.
You and I were in competitions and on Fitbit and everything, and it was just killing me that we would do the exact same number of steps. Maybe her gait is different than mine, but her distance was always way more than mine, and we had done the exact same distance. So I don't know. I thought I'd go to the one, but that's how smart I am. How accurate is it if you can't find it?
Or you left it back in Houston.
Houston, dang it.
Well, you know what I've done. I hate to admit. What I hate is I don't always. Sometimes I'll forget my charger, and these things are supposed to last for 7 days, but then sometimes it doesn't. I'm not sure why it does and why it doesn't. But if I'm on the road and I'm away from a charger, I start freaking out. I'm like. I'm like looking for people with a Fitbit. Can I borrow your charger?
Like, not your iPhone charger. No. Do you have a Fitbit charger?
Right, because I don't want to. I don't want to take one step that I'm not getting credit for.
I know. You might as well lay down. Just lay down.
Yeah.
No need for it. Go take a nap now.
That's right.
Doesn't count anymore. Tom Norkus, I want to say a shout out to him and Aaron from Dipping Springs and Kim Walls, all these people. As soon as I got my Fitbit back on, I got all these Fitbit messages. Hey, you're back, you're back. I thought it was great. Tom got one from his wife, and he forgot it the other day, or he hurt himself or something. And of course, as soon as you get your head into this Fitbit competition thing, and then you're out for a little bit, it's killing you. It's killing you. You're like, oh my God, I'm not getting my steps. It's killing me not to get my steps. And I think Aaron has had his for a couple of years, and the battery, no, it stopped syncing. It stopped syncing with his computer, or his, in the competition, he can track his steps, but the competition, it's not showing up. He's not getting, credit for it. That's Aaron from Dripping Springs. And Aaron, my heart is with you. I understand your pain. It's not about you and your health. It's about beating me and Jack, right?
That's right. I had some sync issues this week, only because I was in 3 different time zones, and my phone was changing time zones, but the Fitbit was set on Central Time. So I finally just started syncing with my computer, and it worked then, but it was like a once a day sync. So I would go, the constant sync was wrong. And then so people were asking me, what's going on, and then I would sync, and I would get 12,000 steps all at once. But it was really because it wouldn't sync with my phone. It was syncing with my computer. And then I got back, and I didn't have my charger with me once again, but it did. I was able to make it back in time before it went dead. And
thank God.
Right.
Oh, God.
So then but then you can if you reset it, with the, it'll kind of start syncing again, or turn your phone off and back on, it starts syncing again. I noticed. So yesterday I had it syncing all day, so it was good.
That's good. That's good, Jack. That's good. No, it is. It's a motivator. It's another motivator, and that's what's fun about Fitbit and the MyFitnessPal community. That just being hooked up with other people and watching and tallying and all of that. It's a lot of fun. So anybody, look in the show notes. I should mention today's show notes. If you're watching the video, this is the unedited version of the show, but within a week it will drop as a podcast. And the show notes are at fat2fithq.com/117. This is episode 117 of the Fat2Fit HQ podcast. There we'll have the link to the Fitbit community, to the MyFitnessPal community, and to all the things. We got to wrap up, so let me say some things coming up. Last time I said the date wrong. The Vegas Tough Mudder is October 19th, so it's the Saturday. We always do the Saturday one, and so that one's the one that Hammer Jammer is heading up, and you got plenty of time to get ready for Las Vegas in October. Just start walking right now. We've got a Gritty Goddess in Galveston on April 18th. We have a Tough Mudder in Smithville, Texas. That's kind of like Central Texas on May 2nd. Paleo FX. We have many Fat2Fit people who are talking about coming to Paleo FX in Austin, Texas on April 24th that weekend. So, think about that. Jack will give us someday the things that he's doing and leading. We don't know yet.
Well,
right?
we don't know yet. Now, when did you say the Vegas one was? Because I think I checked my calendar based on a date you gave me, and I'm cautiously optimistic that the new date may actually mean that I can do it. Did you say that it's the weekend of October 9th, 10th, and 11th?
Nope, it's October 19th.
The October 19th is a Monday.
Oh man, Hammer's gonna kill me because I keep saying it wrong. Let me go to Tough Mudder.
The 17th, that weekend is the 17th is the Saturday. And that's the day I cannot do it. But if you said it was
That's it. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
But let me double check. And I will edit this show. I don't know why. Why do I go on memory? I could have sworn he told me, you said the 18th. It's actually the 19th, but maybe it's the 9th or something.
Well, the 9th is a Friday. That's why I was saying the 9th is a Friday.
None of this is right. None of this. I'm wrong all the way around. And I keep posting these dates. Okay. Thank gosh we're so far from it that I can fix this. October in Dallas. Yeah, it's October 17th and 18th.
Oh, see, I can't do it then.
And it's the 17th we're doing it. I'm almost positive. I've got to check with Hammer, but it's usually the Saturday. So let me start that all over again. I gave the wrong date last week of last show. I put the 19th, which is a Monday. October 17th, Las Vegas, Tough Mudder. We're doing the Saturday. Hammer Jammer is our Capitan, and he needs more recruits. Dang it, Jack, I got excited that you'd be able to do it with us.
Yeah, I can't do it. I've got a meeting. I can't miss that weekend. But I am going to do something in the Pennsylvania area. I know that the first one's in the Poconos. I think it's in April. We're not going to do that one because one of my coworkers that was going to kind of help champion the cause with me broke her toe.
No.
And doesn't think it's going to be good to go by then. So it's
no.
probably going to find its way later into the summer months. But I guess I need to get off my rear end and pick a date. If I don't do it, I will likely find a reason not to do it at all. So we need to get a date on the calendar.
Yes, but what about Paleo FX?
I don't know about that. That's April, right?
Yeah, you're so close to Austin.
Yeah, I know. I just, I don't know if I can make that or not. I kind of want to, but I don't know if I'm going to. Isn't it really expensive to go to that?
Well, it's like $300 and something for the whole conference, it really is worth it. It's so many things going on, workouts and different sessions and multiple sessions, and you can't even decide which one to go to, and all of your rock stars, are there to go see them live and everything. But if you want to come and just experience the bottom floor, the showroom, there are sessions going down and cooking demonstrations and everything going on the showroom floor. They have 2 stages even. And Kiefer was down on there. So you could buy a one-day ticket way less expensive than that and get a lot out of it. There's book signings down there. You can meet, that's where I kept running.
I wouldn't mind going down there and checking out some of the. I'm not gonna.
The products are.
I'm not gonna chase around all these people with an autograph book like you and Lisa did last year.
Sorry, we did that for y'all.
I'm just not that. I mean, I have some personal pride. I'm not going to chase down people for photo ops.
Dean Dwyer told me, Carol, quit acting so goofy. Quit acting like such a groupie. You're here now. You're speaking at this thing.
I know.
You're one of them. Like,
I know.
No,
there's probably people there. There's probably people posting their pictures with Carol Salva.
Right. Not. No, those are the haters if they are. No, but we did have a lot of fun, and I don't think I'm speaking this year because I didn't submit I didn't even submit a talk. I did put through all our names in there to be part of a panel, but I would imagine they have plenty of people for panels. But either way, I'm going. There's no way I'm not going to go because there's too many folks that I want to meet from our community that are going. And even, again, one day of the showroom floor would be a great experience.
Are we doing a meetup? Because that's another thing. I might not even do Paleo FX, but I might drive over and do a meetup or something. It's not that far. It's just whether or not I'm around that weekend.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We'll be doing a meetup. So no matter what kind of thing you're doing at the conference, if you're in Austin, there's a great place called Picnic there that a lot of people from the conference go over and eat because everything there is grass-fed and everything. It's almost like a taco truck, but it's a little more than that. There's all that awesome barbecue in Austin. Hammer Jammer wants to lead a workout, so probably find a park or something. But if you buy one day of the showroom, expo floor, I think that they'll have workouts going on throughout the day where we could all just do that workout. That Primal Play, the Fitness Explorer, I'm trying to remember his name, Daryl Edwards. He's a fitness explorer, and he shows you how to do, just play outside, but it's intense, but it's a lot of fun. So anyway,
cool.
Think about Paleo FX, Jack. You got to come over.
Yeah, I ought to be able to make that. Unless I can't, right? So.
Yeah, unless you will, unless you can't.
That's right.
That's a great plan. Okay, so please do check us out, and please leave us a review in iTunes or in Stitcher. It really helps the show. I can't stress how important that is. So if you have a chance, we greatly appreciate iTunes reviews. Also, thanks for everybody sharing the show and liking the show on Facebook and tweeting it, and we just appreciate everybody who's helping in that respect. we will be back with Anna Vicino. If you don't know who Anna is, we're supposed to record with her later this week. She is from Vinnie Tortorich's podcast. She's a bit of a celebrity herself. She does lots of voiceovers. She's had a television series. She's been in she was on Jimmy Kimmel not too long ago. She's awesome. And so she's going to give us kind of a female perspective on this no sugar, no grains. She's learned a lot. She's gluten-free, so she has a website. Interesting, interesting. So stay tuned for the next show. And I'm also going to have Jen from Girls Like Guns 2, who is just rocking her own weight loss journey. She's going to be on pretty soon as well. All right, Jack. That's it, man.
Adios.
Adios until we text again in a few minutes because we have to check in for the challenge. All right, so wait, so what did we say? To count calories or not count calories? What am I supposed to be doing?
I think you're just supposed to be eating real food and let the calories fall where they may.
Right? I think I mean maybe I'm not even supposed to be doing that refeed once a week and making sure I get a high boost of calories. But I don't think I'm going to go intentionally add extra calories because I saw on my MyFitnessPal a number.
I think if you feel good and you're eating real food, and I think you just go with it.
Say that again?
I think if you feel good and you don't feel hungry and you're eating real food, listen to your body and go with it.
Okay, if you find me face down in the street, if you drive through Houston. No, I'll keep y'all posted. All right.
All right.
And come to the MyFitnessPal community because we chat about it every day over there. All right. Thanks, Jack. Have a great Sunday.
Thanks, Carol.
Thank you. Bye.